Hi, I'm Christopher Hein, and this week we're talking about the classic strikes in Aikido. So, what are the classic strikes in Aikido, and what do those mean? One of the things people like to talk about a lot is there's a quote from Ueshiba that he says the majority of Aikido practice is Atemi. And I say the majority because different quotes, some of them say he says 90% or 99% or 80%. I hear all kinds of numbers thrown around. But basically, he had alluded to at one point that the majority of Aikido is about Atemi. And Atemi means striking. Literally means to hit the body with something. So what does that mean, and what does that have to do with Aikido? Now, if you hear something like that, the founder of the system saying that 90% of the system is about striking, then you would think, well, then Aikido must be a boxing system, or at least must be really good at dealing with boxing. I think he had something a little different in mind, and we'll kind of hit on that in an episode here. But mostly right now we're going to talk about the traditional strikes you see in Aikido and why they exist. And those can be really hard to understand because they look silly until you put them in the right context. And in this video, I will show you, before the video is over, how they will look completely normal, and you'll say, oh, Aikido strikes actually happen all over the place, right? So people go, oh man, those strikes look silly and no one ever uses that, and techniques need to be modernized and updated. That's not true. The techniques that are used in Aikido for striking are the techniques that are commonly in place all over the world today. You've probably used them whether you know it or not, and you could watch YouTube and find a million people using them in conflict every day, all the time. So the things I'm going to show you in this, instantly by the end of this video, you'll understand where the strikes of Aikido come from, and that they're not crazy. They're in fact exactly the strikes that they should be. So I'm going to get Josh over here, and we're going to start with Shomen and Yokomen. Josh? All right, so we're talking about Atemi in Aikido. What is Atemi? Atemi comes from the Japanese ataru, to hit, and then the mi is body, so to hit the body. So I'm going to hit the body somehow. And Ueshiba said that a majority of Aikido practice is this hitting of the body, and what does that mean? Okay, so let's talk about the classic strikes of Shomen and Yokomen, and let's talk about how goofy those look, right? So Josh and I are going to be here in position like this. Okay, so let me show you Shomen. Shomen classically looks like this, and I chop him, right? I could also do that from the backhand, coming from the backhand, and I chop him, right? So it's a big chop action. Now that looks silly, right? So when was the last time you were in a bar and two dudes squared up and one dude went, chop him, right? So you never saw that, right? You've never seen that, okay? So, well, maybe if you lived in the 1960s when karate was starting to get popular, you might have saw that in Los Angeles. But anyway, so mostly though, you've never seen those things, right? So that's not what people are doing. They're not doing these chops. And you think, well, maybe in the olden days, they did chops like that, but nowadays they don't do those chops, right? Okay, let's look at Yokomen. What's Yokomen? So Yokomen is a chop from the side of the head, right? So that looks like something Captain Kirk might have done, but, we don't chop like it. We don't chop, and some people say, oh, it's just a symbol for a big looping punch like that, right? So a big looping punch, maybe it could be that, right? But this looks silly, right? So when we do some kind of form and I'm like this, and I give him a chop, right? Or a Gyaku Yokomen comes from the back, I give him a chop. And that looks silly, right? So why would people do those strikes? It's dumb for Aikido people to practice them. And I remember when I first started practicing Aikido, and I was really like, well, okay, cool, I'll learn those because since it says we should learn them, but in truth, I'm going to go learn to box. And so I did. I went and learned to box. And then when I was boxing, I was like, oh yeah, this is stupid. I don't know why Aikido people ever hit like that. And it all happened until the first time I got in a fight with a weapon. And I realized that when someone has a weapon, like a stick, the ways they hit you are either like this, or like this. Those are the ways people hit you with the stick, right? So if I had a stick and I didn't like this guy, and it's like this side of my body, I'd pop him, bang, like that. What's that? That's Gyaku Yokomen. If I had a stick and I was out here like this, what would I do? I'd pop him like that. Boom. What's that? It's regular Yokomen. If I had a stick like this and I'm threatening him, hey, you better get out of here, I'm gonna bring it down like that. And what's that? That's Shomen, right? So if you put a stick in my hand, suddenly this strike makes a ton of sense, right? This strike makes a ton of sense, and this strike makes a ton of sense, right? So those are the classic strikes in Aikido. They're not from the olden days. Watch a video of anyone hitting someone else with a stick, and I guarantee, doesn't matter if they're super skilled or if they're kids on a playground, if they're hitting someone else with a stick, they're hitting them basically like this, or like this, or like this, because that's the way we hit with sticks. You can maybe make some low line attacks, but they're just variations of that. Aikido accounts for that. So understand that these strikes, Yokomen, Gyaku Yokomen, and Shomen, are absolutely regular strikes that are done every day in self-defense situations all over the world. So super, super normal to do. I'm Christopher Hein. Thanks for watching.